Hello to all my fellow book lovers. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Emily. Today, as you probably saw in the title, I'm going to be doing something I've done, I think once a month, is do a vlog continuing some series that I'm in the middle of. This vlog's going to have 5 books, hopefully, in it. I don't know what order I'm going to read them in. I do know what book I'm starting with, but I'm just going to list the 5 of them, and we'll go into more detail once I actually start reading them. But the first is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instrument series, and I'm trying to read all of her books like in the order she tells you to this year, and I'm a little behind. So this book is the last one I have to read for the first half of the Mortal Instruments, and then I think I read the Red Scrolls of Magic, and then I think the Infernal Devices, and then the other half of the Mortal Instruments. So I need to get going because the rest of the book series are much larger, thicker books than this one. So I will be starting the vlog with this. Another book I'm going to be reading is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the 2nd book in the Red Queen series, and I'm very excited for this one because I had to go buy it. I didn't have any of the other books. I've been better at not buying books in a series if I'm not there yet. So very excited to read this one. I did enjoy the cliffhanger end of the last one, and I'm interested to see how it goes. Seeing as Reckless is coming out, and since Powerless and Red Queen are so comparable, I want to see where this is going to go before I see where Reckless goes, which is opposite of how I did it before. So I'm interested to see that one. Then I have Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which is the final book in the Cruel Prince trilogy. I forget the actual name of the trilogy, but it's the Cruel Prince is the first book in it. I'm excited to be done with this series. I didn't love the Cruel Prince, but I do want to finish it out. I had all 3 books, so I do want to just finish it out and see how it ends. I don't dislike the story so much as there's some characters I really don't like, and I just want to be done with them. So that will be getting read. And then I have Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the 3rd book in the, almost all 3rd books. Actually, no, the next one's not. This is the 3rd book in the Shatter Me series, and I've heard that this is a lot of people's favorites, so I'm very excited to get into this based on events that happened in the last book. So this will also be getting read. And then the final book I plan on reading is Hopeless, which is the last book in the Chestnut Spring series. That is Beau's book. That I really am just going to throw in there when I've had too much fantasy, because a lot of this is fantasy. And you heard correctly, I will be finishing 2 series in this vlog, so yay me, but the rest I'm still quite not close to the end. So let's get started. I'm going to start with City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, and this will be spoiler free. I will just kind of share my overall thoughts and feelings without any details. So I will come back once I've read enough to have an opinion. Okay, so quick Friday morning update, because I'm probably not going to film too much tonight, but I made it like 100 pages in to City of Glass last night, and if you've seen some of my prior vlogs about these books, you'll know that I have read The Mortal Instruments, but it's been years. However, as reading this book, things are coming back to me that I think happened in this book, and one is really sad, and that didn't make me happy, and the other one's one that made me really mad. I know that one happens in this book. I don't know if the sad one does, but I do remember an event that is going to be very heartbreaking at one point, but that's where I am. Nothing really exciting has happened, so I think we're getting to that point. I think I stopped right before the excitement's going to start, so I will come back probably tomorrow, and I should be further along, and we'll talk then. Okay, so I went and stayed with my sister last night, so I couldn't really update too much, but I have 90 pages left of City of Glass, so I'm going to finish this up and then give more thoughts about the book overall. Like I've said before, I've read this book, so I knew it was going to happen. I kind of forgot some of the sad things that were going to happen until hints were given. Almost done with this one. I don't exactly remember how it ends, so that I'm looking forward to remembering, but I will check back in a very short time. Okay, book 1 of the series vlog is done. City of Glass. I gave this a 3.75 this time. I think this is the highest I've rated one of these yet this time. This read through. I didn't rate books back when I read these before, but this is the end of the first half of the Mortal Instruments, and I think it left off at a good spot, knowing that the next book that I have to go into I think is a Alec and Magnus book, so their relationship kind of ended off at a good part to go into a book for that, and I'm very excited to read that book because I love that. Then I'm going into, I believe, The Infernal Devices. So this book had a lot happening in it. If you've read it, it's a good turning point in the 6-book series of the Mortal Instruments. And it's a good place to stop, I think, for this story now. So I think I'm going to understand more about why she gives the order that she does to read it, now that I'm reading them in that order. Big things happened. I don't really remember what happens in the series after this point. I know one thing that happens that kicked off in this, but other than that, I can't really remember. So that'll be fun when I finally get to that, because I have 4 more books to read before I jump back into the Mortal Instruments. So that's done. Now I'm moving on to Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the 3rd book in the Shatter Me series, and probably my favorite cover so far. I think that's like absolutely gorgeous. The flowers on that eye, gorgeous. So I think this was supposed to be the original end of the series, because it says like praise for the Shatter Me trilogy, but then she wrote 3 more books. I don't exactly know what happened there, but I know this is a lot of people's favorite book in the entire series too, so that might be why. This is the next book I'm going to be reading for this vlog. However, in real life, I'm going to be taking a break for the next 24 hours on this vlog to do a 24-hour readathon, because I have time this weekend. So this will be the next book you all see me read, but there is a 24-hour readathon that's going to be occurring first. That video should be out before this one, so if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that one. So the next time you see me, I will have an update on Ignite Me. All right, quick update. I finished Ignite Me last night, and I freaking love this book. It was my favorite so far in the Shatter Me series, and I definitely am very happy that there's another 3 books, because I don't feel like I got enough of certain characters. I don't feel like we have enough of the storyline. I think the main storyline that was in this is done, I think. I could be wrong. So I'm excited to see what the next 3 books look like and what shape they take for the world that they're now living in based on the events that happened in this book. So very much enjoyed that. And then I started The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black this morning, and I'm about 100 pages in. And so far, this is my favorite out of the Cruel Prince trilogy. I am not a huge fan of it as of right now. I do not like the characters in the way that everybody does. Everybody said they loved Cardan, and I just wasn't a fan of him in the first 2 books. He's growing on me in this one. I don't know, like, why all of a sudden I want him to be in the scenes more. It's only 100 pages. I'm like a third of the way through. It's only 300 pages. I am enjoying his character a lot more in this book. And this seems to be the most action-packed. Like, a lot has already happened in the first 100 pages, and I don't really know how we're going to end. I mean, I think a lot more is going to have to happen in the next 200 for us to have a conclusion that doesn't feel rushed, but I will let you know once I read more where I stand on that. But so far, getting to this book has been worth reading the other 2, so hopefully it does not disappoint me at the end. So I read another 100 pages, so I'm 2/3 of the way through The Queen of Nothing, and it's still good. I just feel like the ending's gonna be rushed, because the way that they're building up what's gonna happen, I feel like 100 pages may not be enough to do that justice, but I guess we'll see. I guess it depends on how quickly things take off from here. Still liking it, still definitely the best out of the 3 by miles, and I'm hoping to finish this tonight if I don't fall asleep during the last part of it, but we'll see. If I do, I guess I will come back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done, because I'm going to a museum in the evening and dinner, which is like very weird for me. I'm not a social person during the week. And then Thursday, today's Tuesday, and then Thursday, I'm going to a book club that I found out about, because it's like basically done on Instagram. These girls in the area that I live in started this book club that you kind of vote on Instagram, and then they tell you where the meet's gonna be for that month. And I read the book, which was Expiration Dates, and I'm gonna go check it out. So that should be fun. Maybe I'll meet some fun new people, but I'm trying to put myself out of my comfort zone. It's getting summertime, so I'm actually wanting to go out and do stuff, but 2 days in a row socializing, not during the week, not me. But anyway, I will come back when I'm done with this. If I go into the next book without updating in between, because I won't be home till late tomorrow, it is going to be Hopeless by Elsie Silver, which is the final book in her Chestnut Spring series, and that is Beau's story. So that is the book I'm going to be going into next once this is done. Just wanted to give y'all a quick update before I head out for the day. I finished up Queen of Nothing last night. I did enjoy this. The ending was not what I was expecting, and And it did wrap up, I think, kind of quickly for what it was. But other than that, like, I enjoyed the characters more in this one. The men in this series in general are just very unredeemable to me. Cardan was better in this one, but I still keep going back to like the fact that he treated her like garbage for the first 3 books, but in my opinion he did better in this one. And then I started reading Hopeless on my Kindle last night, and I only got like 2 or 3 chapters in, but it didn't start off like I think it thought it would. And it's a bigger age gap. It's a big age gap. I didn't know it was an age gap romance. I really didn't look much into Beau's. I knew there was an age gap because I knew he was older and I knew who the love interest was and I knew she was younger. I didn't realize it was like 13 years. So that was a little weird, but I haven't really got into it much other than the first few chapters. And I think it's starting off a little bit quicker than some of the other ones, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes to. But knowing what I think I know about the trope, I understand why it did, but we'll just see how it goes from here. So I will update later when I get home, much later today, and I'm probably only going to get to read what I can while I'm at work and before that point. So talk to y'all then. Hey everyone, so update. I'm like 60-70% done with Hopeless. I'm liking it more than I thought because I know a lot of people didn't like Beau's story, but I really like Bailey. I think she's hilarious and their dynamic's cute. There are like a few scenes that are just weird. If you've read it, I'm sure you know which one I'm talking about in particular, but overall, I like their relationship. I think what he's doing is, like, he got into it, I think, for reasons he's not telling her, and I think that's gonna blow up in his face, but he's also being, like, a great dude to her. Even though the age gap's a bit more, I think it's, 13 years, I think I said? Isn't weird, but at the ages they are, it's weird. But you don't really think about that until he comments on it. He comments on it a lot in his head, or out loud, actually. Mostly in his head, and I don't really think about it until he says that, but that's all with that. I'll probably finish that today. And then I'm going to move on to Glass Sword, which is the second book in the Red Queen series. And it's just probably going to pick up right where the last one left off, which was on a cliffhanger. And I'm excited to get into that because I've been waiting to continue that series since I read Red Queen. So that's exciting. I will update probably again tomorrow because tonight's going to be another late night, probably later than last night. So I'm not sure that I'm going to want to film when I get back. I'm just going to want to go to bed. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. So I'm home. I did finish Hopeless today at like lunchtime when I was reading, and I liked it more than I thought I would. For as much as everybody talked about how they didn't like Beau's book and they were looking forward to it, didn't like it. It wasn't what I was expecting. I don't think we got enough of Beau in the previous books for me to expect his personality to be what it was. It was also quite different than it was when we first meet him just because of things that happened to him. But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. The age gap was a little bit too much for me. It was like too much of an age gap, but unless they were really talking about it, I didn't think about it, but they talked about it a little too much, and so that made it a little uncomfortable, but I still really enjoyed it. I'm finally done with the Chestnut Spring series, so that's really exciting. That is 2 series in a row I just finished. So I finished The Folk of the Air, which was the Cruel Prince trilogy, and then I now just finished the Chestnut Spring series with Hopeless. So I'm excited to go into Wild Love next month. And then I saw that her original series, that's like the one prior to Chestnut Springs, I think it's their sister. That series is being re-released in new covers, and I really like the new covers, so I think I'm gonna start buying those when they come out. The first one's out. I think the second one comes out soon, but I'm gonna read Wild Love next month. And then, June. I don't know when this is gonna come out, but I'm gonna be reading that in June. And then I'm gonna start buying the first book's like off to the races, I think. So I'm excited for that. Anyway, I started Glass Sword, which is the second book in the Red Queen series. And I'm only about 40 pages in. I was actually reading at a restaurant bar that I was at, waiting for a book club that I was at. So I didn't get too far into it, and the music was kind of loud and it was hard to focus, especially since I'm trying to get back into this world after not reading a book for, I think, a month or two. It's been a while since I read Red Queen. So jumping back into that and remembering exactly what happened at the end of Red Queen, because we jumped right back into the action, was a little difficult, but I think I'm there now. 40 pages in, I think I'm there. I'm understanding what's happening. And I'm interested to see where it goes now, because we've got a whole new cast of characters that I think is going to take center stage in this book. They were introduced in the last book, but they were more like side characters, and I think they're going to be more center. They're going to be more like main characters in this one, less side, or like closer to main character than side character for this. We'll see. And then there's going to be a little bit of a power dynamic switch, so that's exciting. We'll see. I really liked Red Queen. We'll see if I can get back into it enough, and I enjoy Glass Sword as well. There's still 2 more books left. There's King's Cage and Warstorm, and then there's Broken Throne, which I think is like novellas. I don't know that I'll read that. I will update. It is kind of late. I don't know if I'm going to read tonight, and if I do, it's probably not going to be much. But I will update tomorrow. I'm going to try to finish this book out tomorrow because it is the last day of May, and I want this to be done in May. But it's a Friday night, so I don't have anything planned because I've been doing stuff for the past 2 nights, and I have stuff for the weekend, so I should have some time tomorrow night to finish this out. So I will update when I get home tomorrow. So it's now Friday, last day of the month, so I've got to finish this book today if I want to finish it in May. I am like on chapter 12, which is about 160 pages in, and we're now kind of getting to the meat of the story. The beginning, like, things were happening, but nothing was really happening, so it was kind of hard to get into, but now we're moving along with where the storyline was going to go and what they've been hinting at since the end of last book. So I think it's going to pick up and get better. I hope so. It's not been bad. It's just nothing's really happened. I'm going out for a bit, and then I'm going to come back and hopefully finish this book up tonight, and then we can close out the vlog. So last update before I just try to finish this. This book's getting darker. For a YA, there's been some things that have been a little alarming that have been put in here. I have about 160 pages left. So I will finish this tonight. I'm just going to be up to like probably 11. I think I have another like 2 hours of reading based on how fast I've been reading this book. I don't know where this is going to go. I'm trying so hard not to look up spoilers because I'm just like thinking of all these questions, and obviously this series has been out for a while, so I can look it up if I want. But I have like bad feelings about some of the characters. We'll see what happens. But I don't want to say I'm not going to say I don't enjoy it. It's interesting. It's just getting kind of dark. And for it being only the second book, that makes me worried for what the third and fourth book are going to be. I love the characters. Like, I love Mare. I love Cal. Farley is great. I do enjoy the characters and their dynamic and just their like sheer willpower to do what they need to do. We'll see how this ends. I don't have the next book, unfortunately. And I guess depending on how this ends is going to be if I go out and buy this third one, King's Cage. So the next time you see me, we'll be reviewing and closing it out because this is my last update I'm going to do on this. Okay, so it's time to close out the series vlog that I've started. I started this vlog with City of Glass by Cassandra Clare, the third book in the Mortal Instruments series. This was my favorite so far. I gave this 4 stars. This plot is definitely picking up. The relationships are changing, and we're seeing more of the world now. We're finally seeing more of the actual Shadowhunters world and all of the other characters that are involved in the different types of like mythical creatures and everything that are involved in it. I do remember liking the second half of the series better, but what happened at the end of this book I didn't think happened this early in the series, so I don't know if I actually remember exactly what happens in the second half. So that will be coming up in a few more books. I have 4 books before I read the second half of this series, but I'm very much looking forward to rereading the last 3 books as well. Then I read Ignite Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is also the 3rd book in a series. It is the Shatter Me series, and this was originally supposed to be the final book. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and I can see based on how this book ended that I can see how that was supposed to be the end. So again, I don't know where the second half of this is going to go. I've never read these books. It'll be interesting to see where the story goes now that the main plot line of the original 3 books is done and the relationships have started to develop and change. So I'm not sure exactly where we're going to go with those and the dynamics between the characters that we've been following for the last 3 books. Again, my favorite book so far of the series. I think I gave this a 4.25, and I'm excited to see what happens now with Juliet. That the first big problem in the series is now complete. The next book I read was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which is the final book in the Folk of the Air trilogy, which is the Cruel Prince trilogy. And if you've seen some of my previous series vlogs, I did not particularly like the first 2 books in the Cruel Prince trilogy. I did not like Cardan. I liked Jude, but there were things that I didn't love about her, and I feel like this book jumped so much in their personalities and their maturity levels that it was like completely different characters in my mind. I did enjoy this book. I gave this 4 stars, and I liked the end of the series. It was weird, like what happened at the end I did not see coming. It was a little out of left field, but overall the feelings I had for the characters and their relationships and how the story ended, I really enjoyed. I do feel like it built up a lot for it to end really quick, but overall, not upset that I read this now that I've read this book, but I am mad that it took me until the final book to actually like the characters. Then I finished the Chestnut Spring series. I read Hopeless by Elsie Silver, which is Bo and Bailey's book. Bo is the Eaton brother that was in the military and had some tragic things happen to him in the previous book, 2 books ago. The last book we saw a lot of him dealing with it, trying to deal with what happened to him. And he's known Bailey her whole life. They are the neighbors. Her family are their neighbors from the ranch, and they're not good people, and like the father's in prison, and the brothers just, nobody in town likes them, but they also kind of clump Bailey in with them, even though she wants to be as far away from her family as possible, and she's trying to build a life for herself, but she's having issues getting jobs and reinventing herself because of her brothers. So Bo suggests that they fake get engaged so that she can try to improve her reputation and her image, because he's considered like the town golden boy, and so he can have a reason to get his family off his back by being in a relationship with her. And it becomes serious pretty quickly, and they both realize they're not faking anymore, and they deal with a lot of their tragedies in their past and the things they're dealing with. There's a lot of helping each other through their problems. Bailey's trying to help him through his PTSD and like what he's experiencing because of that, and he's helping her realize her worth and get her into a better situation. And it was really cute. There is an age gap. She is 22, he is 35, so it is quite a large age gap. It's not prevalent until they talk about it, and then it's kind of weird, but I don't think about it until they talk about it. Didn't bother me too much. Gave this book a 4-star as well. And then I finished out with Glass Sword, which is the second book in Victoria Aveyard's Red Queen series quartet. And this was a little slow to start, and I think it was just because it's been a hot second since I read the first Red Queen book, Red Queen, and I had to get my mind back into the world and what happened. And because it is so similar to Powerless, I was trying to remember what happened in Red Queen versus what happened in Powerless, so my brain took a little bit to get into it, but once I did and the plot picked up, it was definitely more action-packed in this one. There's a power dynamic shift for the 3 main characters, Mare, Maven, and Cal. There's definitely a change from the first book, and this ended on a cliffhanger, so now I just want to go by, what is it, Warstorm? King's Cage and then Warstorm. I want to go by Warstorm now so that I don't forget what happened and I can find out what's going to happen now that we had that wonderful cliffhanger at the end. This, I believe, also I gave 4 stars. So it was a good reading vlog. I mean, I knew that I liked the series that I was going to be reading, so I was expecting decently high ratings. I was not expecting to like The Queen of Nothing as much as I did, so that was a nice surprise, and I have now officially finished the Folk of the Air trilogy. I do have The Stolen Heir and The Prisoner's Throne that I will be reading probably this summer. I've also finished the Chestnut Spring series, which is perfect timing because I have Wild Love and I plan on reading that. And I do want to buy her original series that came before Chestnut Springs now that they're re-releasing them with new covers. So now I really wanted to get Chestnut Springs finished so that I could move on to her other series. And I am now halfway through the other 3. So that's exciting. I'm making some progress. I will continue to do these vlogs for the foreseeable future just because I have so many series to get through. I may switch up the series every now and again. I think I have one planned for next month that is slightly different books. Stay tuned for that. And I thank you if you have made it this far. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you're in the middle or have read the complete parts of any of these series. Let me know your thoughts on them. If you have, if you would love to read one of these, let me know. And if there's any of these that you really, I guess not any of them, but between the Red Queen Quartet, Shadowhunters in general, and the Shatter Me series, if there's, which one are you most excited to see me move forward with quickly? And that is all I have for this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.